Hey guys, welcome back. So we are back resuming our normal programming and we will be telling a story today. If I seem slightly agitated, it's because I am. I have sat down to film this video 4 times now. And okay, so my view right here that I can see myself and make sure that the camera is filming and everything keeps freezing up. And for some reason, for some strange reason, it's on a 5-second delay. So what I'm saying and what I should be seeing is not what I'm seeing, and I think it's my crappy internet connection and it's driving me insane. And so that's the first reason I had to stop filming, because I was trying to figure out what it was. The second time, I realized I didn't do my hair. It was literally just sitting in a disgusting bun on top of my head. It's not much better right now. I legit look like a freaking lion. I need a trim. But I don't have time. I don't have patience. And then the third time I sat down, I was in a hoodie. Yeah, it kept riding up, catching my hair. I'm just happy I haven't actually started any of the makeup yet. And then the fourth time, I just got sidetracked. Okay, but that's not why we're here. We are here for story time, and story time today is gonna consist of Blue Blood. Oh my god. This video is just gonna be full of freaking bloopers. I can already tell. So yeah, we're gonna be playing in Blue Blood, and we are gonna be talking about Mark James Robert Essex. We are gonna be calling him Mark because I'm not saying all those names. That's too many names. I said what I said. Alright, so let's go ahead and get started. Alright, so the event we were going to be talking about took place in 1973, but I'm not doing that. Mark was born August 12th in 1949. He was born in Emporia, Kansas, and he graduated high school in 1967, attended some college I've never heard of called Emporia State University, but dropped out after 1 semester. Alright, so the way I'm gonna do this video differently, because this palette is it's too bulky to be going in and hold on. Okay, so we're gonna do this video a little bit differently. I'm just gonna list down in the order of which the shadows I use, and I'm just gonna do it that way because that palette's really bulky and it's gonna stop me from telling the story every time I go to change a color. So back to our story. Mark joined the Navy as a dental hygienist in 1969, just 2 years after graduating high school, and he was stationed in San Diego, California. Beautiful place to be stationed, mind you. And during his 2 years, well, his active 2 years, from October 19th, to November 16th of 1970, he went on an unauthorized absence, and then he was discharged. He received a general discharge in February of 1971 from the Navy for character disorders, and saying that he wasn't suited for active duty and he had behavior issues. He said, he doesn't really say anything now, but he said that for 2 years, it was just non-stop abuse from the whites. Which, I mean, it's the 70s, so I can see how that would be true. But after being just discharged from the Navy in 1971, he moved to San Francisco. So in San Francisco, he ended up joining the Black Panthers. And then at some point now this was all in 1971, so at some point during 1972, mid to late 1972, he moved to New Orleans. Now in November 1972, there was a demonstration for civil rights at Southern University, which is a historically black university. And 2 students were shot by police. 2 black students were shot by police. Now, Mark, who went through 2 years of racial abuse, was outraged by the fact that 2 black students were murdered by police during a civil rights demonstration at a university, nonetheless. Now, if you don't know where Southern University is located in the state capital of Louisiana, in Baton Rouge. So it's 1972, and it was late 1972, because the events that led Mark to do what Mark did happened in November. So Mark is 23. Keep in mind he was born in August. So he's 23. Now we're going to fast forward to New Year's Eve. So from November to January 31st of 1972, Mark's pretty quiet. I mean, he's outraged, but he's quiet. And on New Year's Eve, Mark parked his car on Perdido Street, a block away from a New Orleans Police Department station. So we have police stations like all over the freaking city. All over the city. So he parks his car on Perdido Street, a block away from this police station, and he proceeds to take a walk down the street. Now he's taking this walk. Keep in mind, he's only a block away from the police station. So he's taking this walk, and he stops in a parking lot across from Central Lockup. And he hides in this parking lot. And he waits. And Cadet Alfred Harrell and Lieutenant Horace Perez walk out of Central Lockup. And keep in mind, it's New Year's Eve. And he is sitting across the street in this parking lot. And he opens fire. When he opened fire, he killed Cadet Alfred Harrell, whatever. And he wounded Lieutenant Horace Perez using a 44 caliber Ruger semi-automatic carbine. Now, keep in mind, he's from the Navy, y'all. Like, he knows how to shoot. It's military. He knows how to shoot. So, he actually ended up evading capture, jumped the chain link fence from the parking lot, ran across the I-10. If you are not familiar with Louisiana, I-10 is a busy ass interstate. She busy. And then it's New Year's Eve on top of that. Oh, she busy. So he runs across the I-10. And at this point, like, If you survive that, boy. So he's running across I-10. He's setting off firecrackers as a diversion. And he runs into Girt Town, a area that is known for being high crime. And they don't really like the police. From there, he broke into the Burkhart building, which actually set off a silent alarm alerting police to where he was. And police arrive on the scene with a K9 unit. So 2 police arrive on the scene with their dog, completely unaware that the alarm that just went off had anything to do with the shooting that just happened at Central Lockup. It was Officer Hustle and Officer Blappert. Now keep in mind, the 2 officers are completely 100% unaware this has anything to do with what just happened at Lockup. So Officer Hustle is getting the K9 out of the back. Mark shot Officer Hustle in the back. So Mark is shooting at the police car, and Officer Blappert was able to reach for the radio in the front seat and call for backup. Okay, so I don't know how much y'all know about guns, so I'm just gonna give you a really quick rundown about guns. When you shoot a gun, the bullet comes out of the barrel, right? Now, it's gunpowder, so there's always a flash of light. Okay? You with me? So Officer Blappert fired 4 rounds in the general direction in which he saw the flash that was released when Mark was shooting. Blappert was able to, like, the gunfire ceases, and Blappert was actually able to pull his partner into the front seat and wait for backup. When backup arrived, 2 K9 units were searching the building, but Mark had already escaped. Now, Officer Hustle, I don't even know this guy's name. Husley? Whatever. The one that was shot in the back while he was trying to get the dog out actually died from his injuries in March. So that's 3 months later. This all took place on New Year's Eve, right? Mark is not seen or heard from until January 7th, 1973. So he just goes quiet. At 10:15 on January 7th, 1973, Mark had shot a grocer with a .44 Magnum carbine. The grocer was named Joe Pernicciaro. I believe that's how you say it. And then Mark carjacked a Marvin Albert for his 1968 Chevelle. I mean, at least he has good taste in cars. Outside of his house. So Mark drives the stolen car downtown to the Howard Johnson Hotel located on Loyola Street. It is 330 Loyola Street. So he pulls into the garage, parks the car. Now, the hotel is located across from City Hall and Orleans Parish Civil District Court. So he's climbing up all of these stairs, or all these stairwells, looking for an entrance, but like door after door after door is locked. So it's not until the 18th floor that Mark gains entry to the hotel. Upon entry, he startles 3 black employees, where he tells them Don't worry, sister. We're only shooting the whites today. So once the employees are no longer around Mark, they notify the authorities immediately that there is a man in the hotel threatening to shoot whites. Now, keep in mind, Mark is still on the 18th floor. He's near room 1829, where he bumps into a couple from Virginia that is visiting New Orleans on their honeymoon. Isn't that sweet? It is Dr. Robert Stegall and his wife, Betty. He forces them into their room, and there's a struggle. I mean, I'm not surprised there's a struggle. They're on their honeymoon. Like, Dr. Robert wants to survive. He wants to continue getting that honeymoon stuff. That, and he's trying to be a good husband and protect his wife. Anyway. So there's a struggle, and Robert is shot, and Betty is executed. Now, Robert survived for a little while, but did eventually pass. Mark took it a whole new level and set the telephone books on fire using lighter fluid and put them under the curtains, which essentially lit the room on fire. Mark then leaves a flag next to the couple's dead bodies and heads to the 11th floor. So he shoots his way through several rooms and actually encounters the hotel's assistant general manager and their GM, Frank Schneider and Walter Collins. Frank died on the scene, and Walter ended up surviving until arriving at the hospital, where he ended up dying. So now we know that the 3 women that Mark had bumped into upon arrival have already notified authorities, and police, EMS, fire, they all arrive on the scene relatively quickly, I would say. And 2 officers actually had the bright idea of attempting to use the fire truck ladders to get into the building. Essex, Mark, sorry, he wasn't a fan of that, and he shot him. He said, "Not today." And at this point, he's going back to the 18th floor because he can see better view of what's coming at him. Plus, he's at the top, so no one can get in above him because he's on the top floor. A few minutes later, Mark opened fire and shot 2 more police officers, Philip Coleman and Paul, I want to say it's Paul Persigo, a photographer for the Times-Picayune. G.E. Arnold is on the scene. He's getting photographs, and he actually gets a photo of the police officer Coleman as he was dying in Duncan Plaza. Arnold also captured numerous other photos of police taking cover, and then other police trying to care for their wounds, or photographers on the scene trying to get photos of everything. A deputy superintendent by the name of Louis Sergio is shot in the spine trying to rescue some officers that are trapped, and he was shot in the spine. Well, there is a Lieutenant Louis Townsend on the scene, who also happens to be a Tulane University medical student, and he just walks into the open field, walks into the open field, carries out Sergio, like to get him out of the line of fire, and then just goes back to class. Nothing happened. Yeah, no, you definitely heard that right. He just went about his life, went to class. Like, there's not open gunfire happening or anything like that. So at this point, there is TV coverage and a pilot in the Marine Corps by the name of Charles Pittman. Well, Lieutenant Colonel Charles Pittman. I'm sorry. Actually sees the coverage and does not gain, I want to reiterate this, does not gain proper clearance to do this, but he takes his helicopter and he goes to the scene. So Pittman, lands the copter near the scene lands near the hotel, I should say, and begins taking officers up in the air, armed officers up in the air. And at this point, Mark is on the roof and there's not much coverage. So over the next few hours, Mark is on the roof exchanging gunfire with the armed officers on the roof and this helicopter. Yeah, you heard me. Hours. So hundreds of rounds of ammunition and hours of shooting go by. So at this point, it is nighttime and Mark has taken cover behind a cement cubicle on the roof, and they're firing at each other from the helicopter. They're firing at each other. Mark is hiding behind this cement cubicle on the roof, and this has been going on for hours at this point, y'all. Like, legit hours. Like, it's nighttime. Like, this started at 10:15 in the morning. It's now nighttime. Alright, so I could not finish, like, with mascara and everything and talk at the same time. It's not my strong suit. It's not. So Mark is on the southeast side of the roof, hiding behind the center block. He steps out to fire at the helicopter and actually ends up hitting the helicopter transmission. Now, not only are there officers in the helicopter firing rounds at him, there is also officers on the roof of another building firing rounds at him, and someone ends up giving him just one good hit that ends up taking him down. The autopsy later revealed that Mark actually had more than 200 gunshot wounds. Now, it is known that Mark shot 22 individuals, 9 of which died, 10 policemen, 5 of which died. Mark's body was returned back to his hometown in Emporia, Kansas. There was a movie in 1979 called Days of Fury, where footage of the incident appeared in the film. And footage of the incident also appeared in a documentary that's actually available on YouTube, and that was titled The Killing of America. So, okay, so I am here refilming the outro literally for the 50th time. I did not like the 45 minutes of outros I had filmed originally. In fact, this was not a story I wanted to talk about. It really wasn't. And the main reason I didn't want to talk about this is because it, even though it is a part of New Orleans history, it's not so much history. That racism and that hate and the murders that happened in Baton Rouge, like, that still goes on today. And while it is very important that we talk about it, because it's racism and hate is not something you brush under the rug and just pretend it's not happening, because it's happening. I felt like it wasn't my story to tell. But we are talking about New Orleans history, and this is a part of New Orleans history. And sometimes the most difficult stories to tell are the ones that make some of the biggest impact. So if you're new here, first of all, welcome. We tell stories on Wednesdays and Fridays about New Orleans history. Sometimes they're ghost stories. Sometimes they're about hauntings. Sometimes it's just it's New Orleans history. But I welcome you. It's nice to have you here. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before I let everyone go, I want to urge you to go out and be kind to people. You don't know people's history. You don't know people's day-to-day struggles. You don't know their experiences. And you don't know the mental and emotional scars they carry, sometimes even physical. But you don't know the scars that they carry with them daily. So I urge you to please treat everybody with respect and kindness. A little bit of kindness can really go a long way. So I urge you to treat people with respect and treat people with kindness. And you never know. You might impact someone's life in a great way without even knowing it. So that is today's video. And I will see you guys Saturday for Skincare Saturday.